Master Mage, Season 1, Episode 8. Ever since the house had a new member, they had a lot of fun. There were more laughter and talking sounds all the time. One day, people heard Fang had raised his voice very early in the morning. He was assigned to Sam a task likely. Scene by, they were about to clean up around the house. Fang would clean the yard and let Sam clean up the toilet. How street smart he was. The two apprentices had been waked up very early that day by their master for household chores. Sam was obediently complying, but once he heard he had been assigned to clean the toilet, the little boy furrowed his eyebrows and angrily yelled at Fang. He didn't want to go inside the toilet and touch his hand an inch anywhere since the toilet was very smelly. Fang was excessive at that moment. He cleaned up everything by himself before Sam, so he wanted to hand the difficult part to the little boy. The two of them got in an argument then, even though Sam just got back to human society and barely verbal communication, but he wasn't easy to be overpowered. Their voices raised up, and no one listened to another loudly. Master Jackie had to step out and shout it out to them, resulting in them jumping out of their skin. Master Jackie asked out why they argued in such an early morning and demanded they stop. Sam then held the full water bucket and scrubber brush in front of the master and reported to the master that Fang was abusing him. He let Sam do the most difficult part of cleaning the house. Master Jackie was a fan of equality. He didn't take any side. He just spoke up that they were a family by now. They should share the cleaning job equally and stop arguing. Seeing their master was not in a good mood, Fang and Sam didn't have a gut to continue their argument. Then they saw Master Jackie came to a small corner in the yard, to where was the wall in between their house and their neighbor. The great master was likely to worship someone there. Fang and Sam got curious about that. As Fang explanation, Jackie had worshipped someone there more than 10 years already, and he once heard a little from Master Jackie that he had to pray for that one, but he didn't give Fang any more specify and always dropped in the middle of the story. Under the wall corner, there was a little table placing a censer on top. Master Jackie had come out and burned some incense sticks every day. That day, as usual, Master Jackie came out and burned some incense sticks. Ever since Fang followed Master Jackie, he had never seen his master take any worship. Once, he asked after who was the one Master Jackie worshipping, was that a saint or god? He only received the silence as the answer. After their master plugged the incense stick into the censer, those incense sticks broke into pieces out of the ordinary. Not only was Fang surprised, but Jackie got frightened. There must have been something bad about to happen later on. Master Jackie shouted out to Fang to run to their neighbor and see whether something weird was happening in a hurry. That was the first time Fang had seen Jackie in such that serious and intense, didn't wait any longer. Fang tossed the broom in front of the yard, then ran out hurriedly. In the meantime, Sam was brushing the toilet. He heard the master's worried voice, so he ran out to check out. But the little boy still kept his calm. His face showed no expression of worry or intention. Even though Sam didn't know what happened, but the curiosity had pushed him out. He saw Fang open the door and rushed out. Then, out of the blue, Fang froze there. Sam saw Fang's abnormality. He came closer to Fang to see what happened. He learned that Fang's face was turning red, his eyes wide opened, and he was staring in a direction without a blink. Sam learned from Fang's expression, and realized that was exactly Fang's face when being at the brothel and seeing some pretty girls earlier. Sam assured that Fang was peeking out a girl out there. He shouted out to the master. Didn't wait for the little boy to speak up. Fang gave him a sign to keep silent. He didn't want anyone to catch him. Fang turned his body back and covered Sam's mouth by his palms to ensure the little boy didn't make any sounds and attracted people's attention. Sam kept his silence eventually. He looked at where Fang was staring and realized that people were cleaning the house at their next door. They just moved in. The servants in the house were busily bringing furniture in and made a busy atmosphere to them. There was a middle-aged woman. She must have been the mistress of the house, directing her servants to put her furniture down around the place. She was running around and asking people to carefully put her stuff down, making sure they didn't mess up things as well as break her valuable stuff. They saw a beautiful little girl stepping out from behind the cart in the middle of the crowd. In hand, she was handling a green porcelain vase. She wanted to help her mother. The girl got braid hair and wore a short-handed shirt and long skirt. At first glance, we could guess that she was in her 20s and the mistress's daughter. Regarding Master Jackie, he got no report from Fang and Sam for a long time. He yelled out loud for them but received no answers, so he came out for a check worriedly. Seeing Jackie was stepping closer to them, Fang reported that a family was moving to next door. Jackie got frozen for a moment. He didn't think there would be someone move into that dark house. Master Jackie was supposed that the family must have been from afar from the village and didn't acknowledge the house's history. He worried for their well-being, so he quickly pushed Fang aside and stepped toward them. He shouted out that they should stop moving in and asked whether they had learned what happened to the house in the past. That was a haunted house and unable to settle for anyone. Hearing Master Jackie's voice, the mistress got irritated. She put her hands to her hip and walked towards the master, then shouted out in front of the master what a bullshit he was talking to her, how her house was haunted. Even though the woman showered him with her scolds, but the master was very consistent. Jackie patiently and calmly explained that the house was not the place for them to move in. But on the opposite, the woman even got angrier and gave him some worse scolds. She was way too extravagant and not showed any respect to people. Her daughter stood by her and witnessed her mother was getting excessive. She walked to her mother and lightly asked her mother out what happened. Being in such an angry mood, the woman got short of breath and tried to adjust it, then told her daughter what the master had told her earlier. The girl showed her calmness and was very well behaved in front of the strangers. She bowed her head to give Jackie an apology for her mother's reaction earlier. She repeatedly asked Master Jackie why he was supposed that her house had been haunted and unable to live in. Later on, she quietly listened to Jackie about the house's history. As Jackie's words, the house had been abandoned in years. That was not like no one wanted to move in, but no one had a gut to move in since all of the owners had suffered deaths or severe injuries without a reasonable explanation. Master Jackie was very consistent in convincing her family to leave there, but the mistress was way too hot-tempered to listen to the master. She showed no appreciation. To Master Jackie, he didn't want anyone to lose their life in that dark house. But seeing the mistress's rebellious reaction, he didn't want to waste his time and headed back. The woman didn't just stop there. She continued scolding Jackie and asked him if he wanted to have an argument and made up that her house had been haunted. She even followed Jackie's steps towards his house. Fang had to explain that his master was rude, but he always talked the truth. Eventually, the daughter came closer to Fang and gave him a greeting. The girl introduced that her name was Yan. Her family just decided to move in. She also apologized for her mother's hot temper to Fang and Jackie. Right at the moment the girl talked to him, Fang got flushed. That was the first time Fang faced a beautiful girl. He got shy instantly and could not find appropriate words to reply to the girl. On the contrary, Yan was very friendly and wanted to shake his hand. Fang froze there a few moments, then politely gave his hands and shook her hand. He also revealed himself as the 70th apprentice of the Maoshan group. It was very nice to meet the girl. His reaction made Yan smile. He looked very serious and acted like a robot at the moment. Fang was in his 20s, but that was the first time he met with a confident young girl. He intended to ask the girl some more questions, but his master had called him and Sam back home. So he rushed back to the house and waved Yan goodbye. At that moment, Master Jackie and the mother had stepped into his door. He pointed back toward her roof and gave her a sign to watch out. Then he told her that her roof was the root of the whole problem. That was in September when the trees were about to grow up, but they could see it was lifeless. Everything dried up from the rooftop to the ground. A yellow color covered all around the house due to the dark aura's existence. Nothing was able to survive in the house, even human beings. After showing her the rooftop, Jackie stamped his foot on the ground and asked the woman to look carefully. Right when he stamped to the brown ground, a black spot appeared. From where he stamped to, there was a mud hole. The mother got scared from what she witnessed. She shouted out aloud scarily. She bore the thought that Jackie was not making any joke in her mind for a moment. That was understandable as a normal human seeing those kinds of stuff for the first time. The hole was mysterious, black and smelly. In the mud, some larvae were moving around and looked really creepy and nauseous. Come to think of it, the smell and the maggots must have been from the corpse who had died in days. Yan realized that even in a small corner of the house, there were many creepy animals. Master Jackie showed the mother the ruin and lifelessness of the house. People living in the house were not going live well. The mother got scared already, but she persisted and assured Jackie that she would live there inside the house and didn't take any of his pieces of advice. She didn't believe that the house was dangerous for her family. She simply thought that Jackie was a fraud. He was making things up to scare her out. The house looked ruined just because there had been no one lived there in such a long amount of time. Her house just needed some reparation, and everything was going to be fine. She stormed back to her house and yelled at her servants to quickly bring her stuff inside. Master Jackie was not easily giving up. He wanted to convince the mother. The woman was persistent and pushing her servants to move stuff in. Later on, Fang had brought the compass to hand Jackie. Master Jackie knew that the mother was uneasy about being convinced, so he turned to the daughter. He tried to convince her instead of the persistent mother. Master Jackie showed Yan the abnormal compass, indicating clearly that something weird was happening by the unstable spinning needle. Out of curiosity, the girl asked the master instantly why the needle was unstable working. Yan was an international student. She had never seen that kind of compass before. She was supposed that his compass was special, but what was the use of spinning and stopping consecutively? Jackie knew that just using the compass, the girl would not believe him about the dark aura in the house. He continued to explain how dangerous it was if she and her mother lived inside the house later on. Jackie added that the house had full of dark spirits. If a human being lived there, eventually, their health or life was about to be weakened. Everything was going to mess up. They were going to go insane or even be killed by the spirits. Seeing the great master talking to Yan about some dark aura of her just bought the house, the mother rushed out again in anger. She could not accept that her house was covered by some dark spirits. She jumped in the middle of the conversation, chased Jackie away, and cursed Jackie with some bad words. She must have been taught a lesson if she was talking to another villager. At that moment, Jackie felt that he was just wasting his time out. His sincere words didn't touch her any inch. Instead, he even got cursed. He lost his patience. Without any further explanation, he threw his sleeve, showing a bit of frustration. He raised his voice to call Fang, who was standing with Yan shyly. Fang gave Yan special care. Before heading back to his master, he told Yan if anything happened to her. She just came to the wall corner and called him out. He would be there for her shortly. Even though Fang didn't want to head back, seeing the angry master, he had to follow the master back home. Yan was way too different from her persistent mother. Yan was a young girl, but she got a good manner. Once seeing Jackie stepping away, she bowed her head politely and spoke up to invited him to come to the house for a tea break later on. The mother kept a bad feeling for the master's presence. She asked Yan to stay away from those weirdos as far as possible. She was supposed that they must have been frauds, seeing her as a widow and lived with her only daughter. They just wanted to approach and make money. The mother had her own thought. She had hard worked in years and raised her daughter all by herself, so she better put her guard up in every situation. Yan didn't want to hear her mother bad-mouthing people without evidence. She told her mother that they were neighbors from then on and Jackie, as well as his apprentices, were likely to be good people. The mother didn't want to explain how bad her feeling was once seeing the old man and his apprentices around. She plunged to the house and demanded her servants to settle her bedroom shortly, then told Yan to come to the kitchen to clean up things, and prepared her some meal. Yan quietly stepped into the kitchen. Not long later, there was a loud scream. Hearing the horrible sound from the bedroom, without a clue, the mother got worried about what happened to her daughter. The mother grabbed up scissors quickly next to her and ran towards the kitchen, worried sick for her daughter. In the kitchen, Yan was scared to death and slowly stepped back. Her body was shaking badly. The mother looked at her daughter, then towards the direction her daughter was looking at. She jumped out of her skin as well. Her face got pale, and sweat was all over her body. On the floor, out of nowhere, there was a bunch of snakes and mouses messing up. A glimpse of what Jackie had said to her came back to her mind if the house was indeed dangerous for her family. But then she ended up thinking that those animals must have lived in the kitchen for a long time already and were running around because of the human presence and terrifying people in the house. Both the mother and daughter got scared to death. Yan turned to believe what Jackie warned them earlier. But the mother was still supposed that the house was just normal as the other houses. She so persisted that that was normal to have snakes and rats because the house had been abandoned in years. Everything would turn to be fine if they cleaned up. The mother took some time to pull herself back. She tried to comfort her daughter, then quickly asked her servants to come out to the town and find someone to help her get rid of those snakes and rats. Not long later, they brought home a guy who was very professional in snake catching. Just in a blink of an eye, the man had chased those snakes out. He carefully watched around the house to make sure there was no snake nor rat left in the house before taking his compensation and leaving. After a busy day of cleaning the house and being scared out by those snakes and rats, the mother and Yan got exhausted already. They quickly grabbed up a bite to eat, then hit the sack. That night, the sky was very clear where they could see the big moon and surrounding stars clearly. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the night, a cloud got by. Everything drew to the darkness shortly. The strong wind started and swung out the windows, making noise and wakened the sleepy Yan. She got scared once the windy sound flew through the windows. Out of nowhere, a woman emerged in the middle of the windows. Yan got startled. She wide opened her mouth and eyes, her hands got shaken. She tried to wake her mother up. At that moment, the mother was sleeping like a baby. Yan stammered with the smallest voice she could to let her mother know that she saw someone out of their windows and staring at them, but her mother was unable to see anyone there. The only thing the mother could sense was the rough, windy sounds. She gave her daughter a sigh and supposed that Yan must have been too tired to mistake the shadows of the tree there. But to Yan, she was pretty sure that she wasn't mistaking anything. Yan once again assured her that she didn't sleepwalk as well to her mother. Seeing the daughter was worrying, the mother wanted to check outside. She decided to come out of the bed. Right at the moment, she stepped on the ground. She felt that her feet had touched something slippery. She tried to pull herself together and calmly moved her eyes to her feet. She learned that a den of the snake was moving around on the floor. She screamed out instantly and put her feet back to the bed. The two of them started shaking and got speechless. The mother got mad since she had hired a man to catch those snakes out and how a den of the snakes came to her bedroom. Eventually, they saw a snake crawled to their bed already. There was no way to escape from that situation rather than tossed the blanket to cover those snakes and ran out over the blanket instantly. Without a second thought, they tossed the blanket to the ground covering the den of the snakes. As they thought, the two of them rushed out to the gate. They felt the distance from the bed to the door was way further than usual as the burden they had taken. The mother pushed the gate and got frozen. In front of them, a messy girl was wearing red clothes and a pair of embroidered shoes floating in the air in front of them. Earlier that day, they had thought what Jackie had warned them was a lie. He just wanted to make money from the widow's family. But at that moment, they realized that Master Jackie was the truth teller. Everything he warned them about was turning right. If they were able to survive later on that night, do Master Jackie and Fang come to save them? We are going to find the answer in the next video.